Toyota on the upswing. That story tops tonight's 2-minute drill. We welcome our panel. Fox News contributor Monica Crowley is back. Fox Business's own Cody Willard is here to join the ladies. And from the Fox Medical A team, Dr. Sinara. How could he resist? Yeah. Dr. Sinara Coomer is back with us, as well as syndicated radio host Leslie Marshall. So let's fire up the clock and go at it. More Toyota in the news. Investigators for the Toyota Prius crash in Harrison, New York, saying driver error may be to blame. Of course, you'd expect Toyota to say that. Toyota hasn't commented on the report from the NHTSA just yet. J.D. Power and Associates also giving Toyota high marks for dependability in its 2010 study, including a top spot for the Prius. So, can you depend on Toyota?
I actually drive a Toyota.
You do?
Now, my Toyota is about 9 or 10 years old by now, so they're saying
you ever had a foot pedal stick on you?
No, not to that extreme, no. Although there are a couple of incidents that have had a highway when you're in traffic and you go to stop and the car feels like it's picking up, but never anything drastic. And when I hit the brake,
did you notice this even before the hoopla?
I never thought it was a big deal at all. No, but what's interesting about this is, look, part of this could be Toyota spin because they've suffered a huge blow here, but they have been known to make great cars. Now, whether or not they can get over this hump is a totally
Leslie,
different question.
I had Ralph Nader on the other night, and he gave us some very good details on what might be wrong with these cars, but you know, you could tell that he's pulling for Toyota, because everybody, all the greenies love Toyota. I mean, it's the Prius, you know, it was the first of the hybrids, etc.
Well, I may be a liberal, and we have way too much in common, girl, okay? I drive a Toyota.
Oh, my goodness.
And mine was made in Japan, so I've been assured that I have no problems. I bought it 4 days before this whole recall came in. And
Any regrets? Any buyer's remorse?
No, and I have 2 toddlers. Toyota's been great about everything. I live in Southern California, as you know. I'm normally not, out here. And in Southern California, there was a guy going 94 miles per hour, and that pedal just stuck and stuck. And they have done so many tests, and they can't redo that. I think a lot of people are looking to Toyota for a big payoff.
Well, and I tell anybody who wants to buy a car right now, go buy a Toyota, a used Toyota, because in 5 years and 5 months, we're not going to remember just how scary it was today.
What about the stock? Do we buy Toyota stock?
I don't think so. I think there's too many variables on the stock. Just stick with the car.
I mean, I have a Toyota product. I have a Lexus. I'll let you know when the lease is up if I'm going to get another one. But no, I think they're going to have to. They will get over this. Remember, this 2010 report that comes out is from a study of 3 years.
Right.
Prior to these incidences happening, where people came in and gave their opinions and said how good their Toyotas are. So 2011 may not be so good for them, but 2012 they'll be back on top.
All right. Well, the CBO, as we've heard of before, as we've said plenty about it, saying the $700 billion TARP program will actually end up costing taxpayers only $109 billion. That's down from an earlier calculation, which had the amount as high as $356 billion. AIG and the auto industry ran up most of the bill. Will we ever discover the true cost of TARP? All right, Cody, you're asking for it. Go ahead.
Oh, my God, are you kidding?
You have to get back into the key light.
These guys have taken trillions of dollars of money. They allow the Goldman Sachs and Citigroups of the world to borrow money at 0%, lend it back to the same government, the same taxpayer, at 4-5%, leverage that up, take billions of dollars out of the system, and quote-unquote pay back TARP. Look, Goldman Sachs is insolvent without continued welfare support from me. We are not getting back any of TARP. We are losing trillions of dollars right here, right now.
You're looking non-committal. What do you feel on this?
Well, I was never in favor of the bailout, because you may laugh, but we have separation of church and state. I like separation of private and public sector.
Amen.
I don't laugh. I think that's a great
I'm telling you something. If my companies go down, I'm sure you're not going to write me a check to help me out, and certainly our government isn't going to. I'm going to. Okay, David, I'll remember. I will remember. But I have to learn by my mistakes.
Yes.
Wall Street and America, if you will, has to learn by their mistakes.
That's right.
And you know what? So does the American auto industry, like Toyota.
With you all the way.
Leslie and I, this is real bipartisanship here.
We're all changing. Okay.
Look, the free market system is all about rewards for taking risks, but consequences when you take a risk and it fails. And what we saw with these bailouts, whether it's AIG, whether it's the financial sector, whether it's the auto industry, is that they get addicted to the money. And so now we have this huge black hole with AIG constantly asking for more money, GMAC now constantly asking for more money.
And where do they send that money?
Squeeze Dr. Coomer out of the market.
The economic expert that I am. But I will say that from this, a lot of taxpayers are resentful for the fact of having to pay even 16% of this TARP money out of their hard-earned money, and it's going to be the same sentiment that they have with health care reform.
Well, at least it's going to the deserving billionaires on Wall Street, right?
issuing the healthcare and the TARP bailouts.
All right, let's talk about Iran. Iran's first Russian-built nuclear power plant is set to be launched this summer. That, according to none other than Russia's Prime Minister, Vladimir Putin. Remember him? Secretary of State Hillary Clinton urging Russia to delay the launch, but Russia's foreign minister refused to listen and said Moscow is going to put the reactor online. So can we stop Russia from empowering Iran to develop a nuclear bomb? Let's start with you, Doc.
Oh, boy. And I was going to give my time to Monica.
No, you take it.
All right. No, you know what? In reality, Russia wants to preserve that U.S., China, and Russia maintain the nuclear powers of the world. But I don't think you can deny the fact that Russia has a vested interest financially and politically and bureaucratically in Iran, and they're going to have to try to find a way to maintain that.
What do you think, Monica?
The Russians built the Iranian nuclear program. The Russians alongside the North Koreans. So, of course, they're going to build this reactor. The other part of this equation is, number one, they're blocking any kind of crippling sanctions against Iran's nuclear program for the very reason that Samara pointed out, which is they have huge oil and natural gas commitments and obligations to Iran and vice versa. Huge commercial interest there. And also, look, the Iranians are waiting on a delivery of something called the S-300, which is an anti-aircraft missile battery system coming from the Russians. The Russians are holding off on that, but the second it gets delivered, Israel will strike.
Leslie?
Russia's looking at us and saying, hey, you guys have nukes. You high-five your buddies in Israel and in India, even Pakistan. Why can't we, and why can't our buddies Iran? They benefit. So Russia is not going to back down, and a guy like Vladimir Putin is not going to back down, and especially to us.
I think whenever Russia sees an advantage to put us down a notch, they'll go for it.
I mean, that's just it. And unfortunately, Leslie's got a great point that there's some real hypocrisy on our side when we pretend that we don't help smaller countries.
I got to cut yourself off. You lost your voice on that last one. Coming up on deck.